Persona 5 The Phantom X is having a really big update, updating to version 1.2 on global. And with that, there is a number of things that they revealed in the stream earlier today. In this video, we're going to detail all of that stuff, and I hope you guys enjoy. Make sure you stick around and subscribe if you are new for more content, and let me know in the comments down below how you feel about this. And some of this stuff is stuff that I am positive will have people upset and up in arms and all that stuff about it. So let's go ahead and just kind of cover it here. So with the update, there's a number of new things that are going to be coming out as usual. Huge shout out to the accounts used as well in this page. Firstly, you can follow me on Twitter at dfreedbzhd if you wanted to interact with me. Also, Persona 5 X News, Najox, the P5X alert bots. You guys will see them all throughout the video. Make sure you follow them for all of your needs in terms of like information on the game. But there's a huge TLDR here, but we're going to go through this and then kind of just hit on some points individually as we go through, and we'll talk about some of the stuff like schedule changes that fans typically don't like that appear to be coming to global. So the end of chapter 2 is unlocked with this update. A new event contract for Marion and Bowie is coming as well. New content from Metro of Desire, the roguelike game mode coming as well, so that's pretty cool. New event, spin to win raffle event. Little pop-up there. You exchanged route tickets for rewards such as platinum cards, gold cards, and millions. You also have, or I assume millions or milli coins. Login event as well, a new login event for 7 days and get 7 platinum tickets. And they're also adding Lufel's business plans 3 and 4. So if I'm not mistaken, the business plan is just the plan button on the top where you get the free character, weapon. Also, character and weapon. I wonder what they're adding for plan 3 and 4 as the new featured rewards there. Maybe probably the same thing. I'm not sure. Let me know in the comments down below. But aside from that, new items from the Clear Cognigem Exchange shop. They're going to refresh that shop. New synergy with Shunkano and rank updates added for Yui, Yaoling, Motoha, Tomoka, Kaio, and Merope. So new synergies with them as well. Side missions featuring Ritsuka and Yota are unlocked. City life updates featuring Shinjuku bookstore, part-time job, band club practice, soccer practice as well. I haven't played soccer yet. Maybe that's a side event. Maybe it's not in the game at all. I know there's the band one, but anyway, capsules with Shishikun. Oh my god, Circus Parade should be an exclusive event is added. Follow our official accounts and events allowed you to get more gold cards per social media you follow. Interesting. Skill description and upgraded for some characters. All right, so on the last bit, there was a lot of like translation errors, so I assume that they're fixing some of that stuff. And otherwise, this is like a huge wall of text that needs to be deciphered. so some people are like, okay, well, that's a lot. So end of chapter 2 coming out as well. You might have noticed that was missing, so that's cool that that's coming. We're getting the new gacha, Marion and Bowie as well. New content, Metro of Desire, the new roguelike game mode. We're adding in Lufel's plan 3 and 4. We're getting in login event as well, a spin to win raffle event as well. New synergies for characters, new side missions featuring new characters. I believe I don't think they're in the game at this point. City life updates and new Shichi-kun capsules as well. So that's mostly everything. Now, where is the problem? Well, we got a couple of other interesting bits of information here. So firstly, they did unveil some arts as well, so that's pretty cool for these characters. But they revealed Marion will not be added to the standard banner right after the version ends. That does not mean Marion will never join the standard banner. That means Marion will not be available from the gold ticket gacha starting on 1.2. So this game follows, if you're not familiar with it, a model where the characters release in a premium format, typically anyway, and afterwards make their way over. Well, I don't want to say premium because that there's a whole other banner technically, but they release in their own individual banner, right? And then after that get put into the standard gacha. That's a pretty standard practice for a game to put the characters into the standard gacha, right? Aside from the limited characters, those characters do have their own pool from what I understand. And they typically just come back in rerun format. So that's a separate thing, but she's not a limited character and thus should be coming back on that banner. So this is the mark of our first really big change. And with this is ironically, this is something that I talked about with Blade Cypher in our video detailing these characters. I was like, man, I'm surprised that they're doing this stuff because typically when a gacha game comes out and they have that much foresight into what the plans are for release and stuff like that, they shift it up. Why? Because you already know which characters are going to be the money makers, right? You could lay out 5 or 6 characters right now, right? And that's a sliding scale like I talked about in a video, but sure, you could lay out 5 or 6 characters that are available on the other version of the game and detail those characters and say, okay, these are the staples, these are the ones you need to pull for, right? And so a lot of people are saying skip Marion because they're going to put her in the standard gacha. Now, this does not say that she will never make her way into the standard gacha, but it will not be immediate, right? And so there will be an element of exclusivity for this character in a way that is not natural to the other version of the game. And what that does is this is going to produce artificial FOMO, right? So people are going to feel like, oh, well, and especially in this case, because she's the first case of this. When the hell is she coming back? She could be added 3 patches from now, right? She could be added 2 patches from now, 3 patches, 4 patches, who knows, right? And for the record, unless they get serious blowback, and to be honest, even if they get serious blowback, I'm pretty sure they're still going to continue with their plans. That could be the trend for all the characters after Marion that release like this, that are non-limited characters that should get ported to the standard gacha, right? So that is one of, there have been other minor changes people didn't really care about, right? And there's some other changes that are good, like some QOL stuff that was supposed to come a little bit later. We didn't get everything, but we got some of it. And that's the type of stuff that's good. But fans don't typically like when gaming companies do this. Unfortunately, it appears they're doing this, and that really, because when there's, again, that much foresight, that also tells me that nothing is off the table. I know you can go into the game, like Blade was explaining to me, I know you can go into the game, and I know you can look at what's the upcoming character based on the weapon that's there and all that stuff. That's fine. That tells me that there's no set order. They could shuffle this up as much as they want to, right? So just keep that in mind. Just keep that in mind. We are working with an entirely different version of the game, and they typically don't like to honor 100%. I've seen it so many times over 10 years playing gacha games. They don't 100% honor the exact same stuff in the same way. Now, that's just the first point. The next point is that they're changing up stuff just in general. We kind of saw it with Vino. Like, Vino's coming, that's an example. It's a minor one because Vino is a 4-star, but Vino is coming out of place, right? So there's that. But they're also adding the Joker costume gacha. So you can get Joker through his costume, through a gacha, and I believe, yeah, you need 3.4 currency to get him. This is with free currency, so you can use meta jewels if you want to do that and unlock that costume. Najak says the costume sucks. It adds literally nothing except the new model. But I mean, hey, if you're a Joker fan, then obviously go for it. I don't really care much for costumes in games typically, unless it's like solo leveling where I can just flat out pay like $10 to buy it, and then fine, I'll buy it, right? It's actually more than like $10. But anyway, yeah, but even then I don't really do it very often, right? But the next thing, and because this is also out of order, this was released in version 4.0 and it's coming to 1.2, right? So that's the big thing about this. But the next thing listed from Najox is Global and JP is going to catch up to the Asian servers for everything except character release. Now there's a follow-up to this. Everything except for the character release. So we will eventually be up to date in terms of story, but characters will still release quote unquote normally. They do follow up at some point in here. Yeah, they follow up and say they might actually be catching up on characters too. So I'm gonna wait for the EN stream to get the official translation. Okay, so yeah, this stuff came from the Japanese stream earlier. So there's that, and they're just, I don't know, doing Google Translate or whatever on these images, but they're gonna wait for the official English stream pre-patch to talk about this. So let's go through this. Updates, dollar contracts, etc. in Japan, Europe, and the US scheduled for stories. We're preparing to release updates in the main story at an earlier stage so that there will be no gap in the story experience compared to the current release in China and in other regions. Additionally, we have also made changes to the timing and balance of events and monster idols. Okay, so they're changing timing and balance, but monster idols, I don't know what that is. maybe that to me, I don't know, but I'm just being pessimistic. That could mean gotcha. I don't know, but they are producing these events much faster. They're going to update the story and all that stuff much, much quicker. Now, here's the deal. This is a very slippery slope because on the one hand, fans want them to do stuff like this. They want them to implement more content faster. Now, foresight and all, let's say we get like 6 months down the road, and for some reason, somehow, the global version is caught up in story to the other one. At that point, without the characters being on par, you're going to get patches if the characters are the only thing held back, right? You're going to get patches that feature the same story updates, the same quality of life updates, the same events, just different characters. Doesn't that sound silly? That sounds silly, right? But what's the alternative? The alternative is that, and which, by the way, doing this is also weird because there are characters that tie into certain story beats as far as I understand, right? So that's also kind of weird. And doing it that way, like down the road when they're introducing new story to both versions at the same time, because they will be caught up at some point, that also would be weird if the Asian servers are getting the new characters integrated into that new castle or whatever we're getting, but on global we're getting somebody else. That's where this is weird, and that's where I think that that's not going to happen, because again, the alternative is characters also release at the same time. I think that actually is more likely, because if you're them, why go out of your way to do this? Why not just do everything at the same time? Just say you're going to catch the game up, right? Catching the game up is the alternative option just in general, and that's a very, very slippery slope. Why? Because very few devs handle that properly. Very, very few game devs handle that properly. More often than not, they do. And this, by the way, this is weird because they're going to slow down the character's transition to the standard gacha, but potentially wind up speeding up the banners. Like we already knew a little bit of how they were going to handle banners, like the length of banners being like what, 3 weeks and this and that. Like we know some of that's different, but what's to say they can't just run 4 limited banners, for example, at once? Now they're not going to do that, but what's to say they can't, right? Just extend the duration, put them out there. That way people don't complain as much, but you're running all these banners at once and you've updated it to where they can have more currency in the short term because you've pushed the content faster, right? And so typically though, what happens is there's not enough free currency to go around to make up for the gap, or to make up for the increased speed, excuse me, and the increased rate at which characters release in this sped up format to try to catch up the versions. Typically, they wind up skimping on events, right? They'll skimp on a login bonus that gave 1,000 metajoules or something like that, or they'll skip on this side event because they have to speed that stuff up too. But it's kind of hard to speed up all those things that have predetermined start and end dates that are lasting for like 2 weeks that aren't a gacha, because with a gacha, it's different because gachas generate revenue. The rest of the stuff doesn't generate revenue. So for them, gachas are a tippy top priority in most cases. It all just depends on how greedy the company wants to be. And that's why I said very rarely do I see a process like this actually work properly. And if a game is in a rush to catch up, like for example, Jujutsu Kaisen, right? You could really fracture your player base early by trying to speed run. If you try to speed run the catch up, that's terrible, right? Now, all this could be to do about nothing. They could be doing what I positioned earlier, where I said, hey, maybe this stuff is up to date, but the characters aren't. Yeah, admittedly, like I said, that's a little bit weird, but it's a better alternative than, in my opinion anyway, that for the free players at least, then screw it. I'm not going to separate the players. I don't want to, I'm a paying player, but I don't want to buy every 2 weeks a new character and like, you know, release on a hyper release, updated release schedule like every other week or something like that. 2 weeks is normal. Actually, I should say like every week. I don't know. But you get my point. Like, I don't want to do that either. So at least give me a break from that. But that's where like the selectivity comes in. Oh, this character sucks. You could save. But wait, they're trying to rebuff that so the character comes to the gacha later. Now, for the record, like, I kind of also, I'm not going to say that. Like, it'll get me killed. I was going to say I wouldn't really complain much about the change in the standard format, because standard gacha sucks anyway, because it's just the characters in a large pool. Like it's there's no selectivity to it until you hit the 300, which sucks, right? They could have a featured rate up or something like that. Maybe the new character is weighted, as far as I know, but still, it sucks because the game's overall pull rate sucks. But I digress. It is what it is. People are going to be upset about that, and that's fair. But yeah, this is kind of all over the place. But ultimately, though, I guess before we get our pitchforks out over this, proverbially anyway, it might be worthwhile to wait and see what happens in the official global launch. Lastly, I will make a compation post. I don't know what the hell compation means. Oh, and all the information, one compilation, I guess. So the last thing here is the roadmap. Now, for you guys that are vets of the other versions, feel free to check this out. Maybe you can understand this better than I can. I can't tell you much about this. I can't, because I don't know enough about the other versions in between and what released where. It's kind of hard to figure that info out. There's not like a super chronicled place to even look at that anyway. You have to have just mostly been there, word of mouth type thing. So ultimately, though, let me know what you guys think. Hope you all enjoyed this video. Make sure you hit that thumbs up and subscribe. And if you want to see our video, Blade Cypher and I, where we covered the new characters releasing in detail, we also talked about whether or not you should skip them. You can find that video on the screen right now. But I mean, maybe you don't skip Marion. I mean, that's what they don't want you to skip, right? That's the whole thing. That's the whole reason they're shifting this. They don't want you to skip. They heard skip. They said, oh, hell no. So, all right, guys, I'll see you later.